Hello, 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 everyone. I hope that you're all having an awesome Friday. Welcome in. Happy days. I can't believe it's Friday. We are here. And today is the first meeting of the Final Girls Club, which is kind of like my little brainchild horror cast thing where I will be having a guest on and we are going to be discussing a horror movie. This week, we have Shelby Scott, who is the host of the incredible Scare You to Sleep podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend it. It's great. I'm going to have her talk about it as well. And yeah, this week we are going to be discussing Event Horizon, which is one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited. This was her first time watching it, so I'm really excited to do this. I hope everybody's had a good day. Let me see. We are going to pop on over here. Oh, let me unmute first. There we go. Do like a little bit out of a mute and pop on over. Hello, Sensitive Joy. Oh no, the damn Discord every time. How are you, Joy? Oh, there it goes. There you are. Shelby, are you there? Did it freeze?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, it looks like the camera froze. Maybe it's... Oh, there it goes. Yes. Nice.
Oh, there. Yeah, I see it. Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so excited to have you. Like, this is actually, I think, the first time that we've actually spoken.
Yeah, it is.
In person, because Shelby and I know each other from a bunch of Last Podcast on the Left Facebook groups for it's been a really long time now.
It has. I was just talking to someone from those groups recently, and I was like, we've all known each other for years.
Years.
It's
years.
so bizarre.
I know, because I talk to Jess all the time, Highlash all the time, and it's just almost 10 years. It's bonkers.
Isn't that crazy? Oh my gosh. It's it's we all have legitimate long-term relationships, which is bananas.
It's true. You're right. The Facebook groups, yeah, they really are so good at making those connections and stuff. I have friends from Tumblr who I've been friends with for over 10 years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's wild. The internet, as toxic as it can be, it can bring together so many people and make these really cool lasting friendships and stuff, which is awesome. It's so cool.
We were just talking about before we went live, how we met on Facebook. Neither of us do Facebook much anymore, but we're still friends on Twitter, and we've migrated now, which is so interesting. Yeah. We're surviving whole apps and their demise.
It's true. It's so true. Oh, what's going to happen after Twitter goes? Where are we going to go to next?
I can't even predict the next one. It's
Seriously.
We're going to go back to MySpace or something.
I would be okay with that.
Right?
MySpace was the place where I learned how to do HTML. And so I was I'm a genius. I can program my whole thing.
Yes. Well, that's what I was just thinking. I was now all Twitch streamers and things, all these backgrounds. I mean, imagine MySpace now. Imagine those pages these days. I mean, they would just be so professional looking.
Absolutely incredible.
Incredible.
They would be so cool because they were pretty cool back then. I remember I had one that was super minimal. That was just basically the picture, my name, and then a little blurb on the side, and it was just I don't even know, and then people would hide their music and put other music, it was wild.
Oh my god, I was just thinking the music that would play when you went to someone's page.
Yes.
It was Nowadays, that would be so. And imagine going to someone's Twitter and just a song playing. It's like that would drive us crazy. Like, just
That's true.
it would be so weird these days. But back then, it was like, here's my favorite song. This is what represents me as a
Exactly.
person.
I would seriously spend so much time like planning, okay, what song do I want like this week and stuff, and like it has to like fit the vibes. Absolutely wild. Oh my gosh.
Say what's in my soul, like this week at
Exactly.
least.
Exactly. Am I really mad about like a science paper I have to write, or like, and how does that affect my song choices? Oh, so good. But anyways, yes, I am so excited to have you on here. I thought that like you could do like a little intro, like because like your podcast, it's so good. I've actually used it to fall asleep so many times. I love it. Um, yes. So what exactly made you like decide to like do your podcast?
So, I've always loved writing horror, but I always write like short stories. It's like my brain. I mean, I have ADHD, so I don't know if that's contributes to the fact that I was like not able to write a full like manuscript or novel or like screenplay. And I was kind of like, I don't know where these belong. Like, where do short horror stories belong unless you can, publish your own anthology?
Mm-hmm.
So I had one of my stories done by No Sleep, the No Sleep podcast, which is huge. And it
That
was a
is
huge
huge.
moment for me. Yeah, it was a huge moment for me as like a horror writer. And I had a few others that they just didn't use, which no shade at all. Like, now that I'm doing it, sometimes stuff just doesn't work for your show.
Exactly.
And I was like, but I think these are good. And I really liked podcasts. So I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try to do my own podcast and at least use it. At the time, I had deluded myself into thinking like I could use this as a reel to send to publishers. It was so dumb. But it was like my idea to like stand out to publishers. And
It is a good idea though.
thank you. It did not pan out that way, but it panned out in a very good way despite my weird idea. And at the time also I had a few friends who would sleep. My husband sleeps to podcasts too, and they would talk about how, and I noticed too, I couldn't sleep to them because there would always inevitably be like a moment where someone like laughed, or with horror podcasts someone would like scream really loud, which is great when you're doing the dishes or commuting, but when you're trying to sleep it would just be like
Jarring.
kind of, I'm a light sleeper. So I was like, what if I did like bedtime stories basically, but scary ones? I didn't think there would be any market for it, honestly. I like look when I thought of the name Scare You to Sleep, I was like, okay, this has to have been taken. And like, or no one's gonna want this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I found out, I like scoured the internet to make sure I was not stealing someone's name, to make sure it was like original. And so I started it, and lo and behold, it like caught on, and I found a whole other community of, just like we found the last podcast community, I found this whole community of people who are into this and into, I always kind of say like, if counting sheep isn't your speed, like this is, if you're more into like listening to serial killers or ghosts or monsters instead of counting sheep, then here you go.
So that's amazing. And like that's like it's so brilliant and stuff too. And like the production work that you do on it is like absolutely impressive. Like it's so good. Cause you do all the sound effects and everything, right?
Yeah. I source a lot of them, but yeah, it's really gotten me into doing my own Foley, and which has been a trip. Like it's so much fun. And it's always fun too to do like every once in a while on Patreon. I'll be like, here's what that sound of brains smashing was actually this week, and it's like my little tub of slime, or like me like scrambling some eggs, So I've had so much fun with that portion of it.
That's like I like Foley artistry is just like it's so cool to see how like you can take like the most like unbelievable things and make them just sound just like grotesque, or like any, you know what I mean? Like it just like puts you like in a whole other like world than you would imagine it.
Yeah, what's so interesting too is the things as a Foley artist you start to realize don't really make a lot of sound in real life, but need a representation, and I've started to pick it out of movies too, where like whenever anyone picks up a knife or gets a knife out of a knife block or anything, it makes that shing sound, and it's like knives don't really make that sound. Knives don't make any noise, you know, but you kind of like have to have it to like drive home like this is a knife. And especially when in an audio medium, it's like finding the things that don't make sounds to make sounds to keep you immersed, but also what sound represents something that doesn't actually make a sound, you know?
No, that's like definitely like just something that you wouldn't think about. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
And then you just did work for a short film, correct?
Yeah, it's coming up soon. There's still crowdfunding if anyone wants to search that. It's available on my Instagram, which is @scareytosleep, all the information, and Twitter and everything. But yeah, it's a really interesting group of artists who are doing stop motion, what a beautiful art, you know, especially when it lends itself to horror. I mean, it's so cool the way they find, like, she was talking about how she was using like eyelash glue and just like little things to make these incredibly disgusting little creatures, and she asked me to do the Foley work, and it's my first like commissioned Foley work, and I'm so stoked about it. Like, I'm so excited about it.
Oh, I'm obsessed with that. There's like these Brazilian filmmakers that I recently found that do like shorter horror clips that are or shorter horror movies that are all the like stop motion. Frick, I can't remember what, like, I know that like one of them has like wolf in the title, and they're coming out with another one really soon, and it looks incredible. I have to find it because it's so cool.
Stop motion, it's I mean, when you see what goes into it, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, especially your audience, is definitely familiar with like Nightmare Before Christmas, and seeing the behind the scenes of like what goes into stop motion is incredible. When I was a kid, I loved those behind the scenes of Nightmare Before Christmas, and seeing how they like, I couldn't believe that they were using just like tinfoil and things to like, it was like just around the house items to make this beautiful, creepy art. That's why I love horror stop motion, because it's like the jerky motions just add to the whole atmosphere. I love it.
Agreed. It's incredible. Like I love it. It makes it like otherworldly. It like adds to kind of like that like uneasiness and dread as well. And like, yeah, I absolutely love it so much. Yes. So, so this is your first time like ever watching Event Horizon as well. Sorry.
Yes, it was. When you suggested it, you suggested a few, and I was excited about this because, for one, I am actually genuinely terrified of space.
It's scary. It's too big. It's too, like the ocean. It's too big. I can't play Subnautica.
Right? Like, yeah, that's how I feel about space. Like, and same with the ocean, where it's like, we can't breathe there. Our bodies will get crushed there if we go too deep into it, you know? And I hear people talk about, in fact, I was just a guest last week on a different podcast, and they brought up Event Horizon, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be talking about that next week on a different show. And it's just so like in the horror sphere. So it was like, okay, this is something that's going to terrify me, and it's like kind of a need to watch if you're into horror movies. So I was so excited that you suggested this.
I'm so excited. It's one of my absolute favorite like sci-fi horror movies. Like honestly, like, okay, Alien and Aliens are better movies, but I love Event Horizon more. Like, if that makes sense.
I can see why. Now, having watched it, that does not sound like a crazy statement to me. Like, that makes absolute sense, because this movie, it's wild, and it has the same like feelings of Alien, where you're like, it almost feels like that haunted house feeling, like I know Alien was going for. But it also has, I mean, the gore is fantastic.
So good.
I mean, I know we'll get into it. I know you have a lot of facts, but I know that they cut a lot of the gore, and I wish I could see what was cut, because it was so well done, and it was fantastic. It was just fantastic gore.
Agreed. Oh my gosh, absolutely agree. Like, yeah, like it's so wild, like, because I knew like a little bit of like the history of the making of the movie and stuff, but I spent like most of today kind of just like reading and like learning about like the behind the scenes and everything, and it's absolutely wild, like that we got what we did, because it has the most like fucked up like production history too.
I actually didn't look too
That's
much into
totally
it because
fine.
I was hoping to hear from you. I wanted to like almost do a like you tell me and then I react because
That's
and
perfect.
this is like the first I was like this is her first episode. I'm so excited of this new concept and
Thank you.
yeah, I wanted to let you lead the way.
Oh,
Man the
perfect.
helm.
All right. So, I guess first what we should do is also, hi Jess. We should first
Hi Jess, I saw you in there. Yeah.
the first thing that like we should do is just do a quick little like plot summary of the movie. So, it is in the near future. Space people have like colonized the moon. There's space travel. It's normal.
In 2015, I have to interject.
Yes.
In 2015, we colonized the moon. So I don't know if you all missed that, but we did.
2032 was the first mining colony on Mars. And then 2040, a ship known as the Event Horizon is launched into deep space for exploration. Like, it is like this crazy ship that was made using like the science of black holes for travel. So like as like Sam Neill as Sam Neill like describes in like the movie, like, oh, like the space like the to go from like one place to another, A to B, like it's just a straight line is the fastest way. But what the Event Horizon does is it basically folds space and like connects the two pieces, so it's like really fast travel. Also, hi Marilyn. Welcome in too. Yes, and the ship like vanishes. Like after making like its first voyage out, it just vanishes. And 7 years later, a ship that is helmed by like Lawrence Fishburne, has Jason Isaacs. They
Handsome,
are
young Lawrence Fishburne, by the way. I was
very
like,
young,
God.
little baby.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. They are requested to go on like this secret mission, and they have no idea what they're doing. They are joined by Sam Neill, who is who plays Dr. Weir, and he actually built and created the science behind the Event Horizon, and he wants to get his ship back. He wants to find out where it's been. He wants to do like sciencey shit, because he's like, my ship's been missing for 7 years. I want to know where it's been, what it's seen. Like, I want to get it back, because, you know. So he joins them, lets them know like, hey, this is what's happening. Also, here is the like audio like transmission that was sent out after the ship showed back up, and it's just like a bunch of garbled screaming.
It's so good.
It's just an absolute nightmare. And they find it just outside of Jupiter, I believe, or is it Neptune? Jupiter. Yeah, they find it just outside of Jupiter, and just chaos ensues. There's ghosts.
You know, what I really liked about the setup too was how Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill kept like apologizing to some of the crew about how they like, especially the one woman with the son, the disabled son, who he was like, I'm so sorry, I tried to get you replaced. So it added this like anxiety to me of this was something these governments like made these people do. Like they're clearly in some sort of government capacity. They had no choice but to do this. It's like so many sci-fi movies. It's like this crew is either like signed up for this or this is something they do. And this one was, it like right off the bat, it was like these people didn't really have a choice. They were the only ones for the job. And I don't know. There's something that's very, I mean, sci-fi always adds a great, criticism of governments in there. And this idea of being forced by your government to go to like Jupiter to take back this ship that they don't know what happened. It's terrifying, you know?
Yep. It's absolutely just like so like it's also very much like what a like oh wait, did you freeze? There you go. It's also like kind of like what you would expect like a government to do, like put like its people in the most danger possible.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. Um so on the way to the ship, Sam Neill's character Dr. Ware, he keeps seeing visions of his wife. As like and she's missing her eyeballs, which is just absolutely grotesque.
And she's naked, or
she's naked.
mostly nude.
Yes.
She's like in underwear, which is almost more disturbing than being nude for some reason. I don't know why that like it weirded me out more. It was just, it made it almost like more real. It was less like this is a ghost alien thing. It made it more like, oh my god, did she get on the ship somehow? Who is this? Because they don't. That's another thing. I love the Twilight Zone-esque way. They didn't explain a lot. They were just like, we're diving into these backstories, but not really diving in. You just kind of got to figure it out. And like, who is this nude woman who is crying?
Mm-hmm. No,
in space.
it had been a little while since I'd seen it, and so my brain just for some reason like put it that she was on the ship and vanished.
That's what I thought too.
Okay.
That's what, yeah, I had that initial feeling. So, by the way, I watched it this morning. I was telling her this. I've had a really busy week that got busy, stuff like, it was just like, got away from me. And I was like, I have to watch this. And so watching this at 9 a.m., I was telling her, I was just like, it was a lot for 9 a.m.
It's a lot.
And I had the same thought of like, did she get on the like, was she one of the ones who disappeared? Is that why we're seeing her? Like, and I love that though. I love how confused I was right off the bat.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm so like, I was also like, was it just me? Because like anytime like I was looking up things about it, like nobody seemed else to kind of like think that. And so I was like, okay, it wasn't just me. I'm glad it's not just
maybe
me.
It's just the two of us out of everyone, but
that's
I had
fine.
the same thought.
I will take that. We'll be the outliers. But
we have our own little corner of IMDb with our thoughts.
Oh man. But yeah, so like so like when they showed up at the ship, so the ship itself is modeled after the Cathedral of Notre Dame.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So what they did was they took like, and it's also a lot of like Gothic architecture as well.
I did notice that, and I love that about it.
Yes. I like, so I guess before like I jump ahead of myself. So yeah, so it's like, it's based on Notre Dame. They took Notre Dame and they like kind of like deconstructed it and then put it back together and made it into a ship.
Wow.
Yeah. And then like they use like other.
So fascinating.
Right?
Wow.
I thought that was really cool. And then considering like what happens, I made the joke to my husband that like the real plot of the movie is that Catholicism was hell the whole time.
Oh my god, that's genius. I love that.
I'm a former Catholic, I can say that. Oh, but yeah. So yeah. And then also, yeah, like with the design of the ship and stuff, like I noticed that there was a lot of things that looked like eyeballs everywhere.
Yes.
Like
I noticed the things that they took like the tubes out of and everything.
Yes.
Just like eyeballs. Yeah.
Yes. And then the main hallway, the main artery hallway is like all eyeball shaped.
Yeah, they're like shaped just like, yeah, but I liked it because it wasn't so to the point where it was like almost just like too in your face. Like there are eyeballs everywhere because they kind of were a little bit like jagged. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's vaguely eyeball shaped.
Yes.
Like, especially considering like that the movie just like everybody like
Because he's always watching.
eyes.
I love that.
That's so good. Because like the fact that like everybody like it though like it seems like pretty much everybody gets like removes their eyeballs in some way in there.
Yes, eyeball. It was a very eyeball-centric movie, which I appreciated as a gore fan. Like,
Yes.
eyeballs are always usually a lot of. I've noticed a lot of horror movies will go for the eyeball thing like once in the movie because it's very visceral, and this was like
No.
eyeballs, guys.
Hold my
We are
beer.
going for eyeballs. Yeah,
All the eyeballs.
cover
Um
your cover your eyes.
because yeah, because like one of the quotes from Weir is that where we're going, we don't need eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah, we won't need eyes where we're going. Thank you so much, Sydney. Oh my gosh, it's just like a last podcast group like reunion. Oh
Here
my
we are,
gosh.
years
So
later.
good. So yes, also like another big thing with this movie that like a lot of people do say is that like it's very alien inspired
Hmm.
and also kind of Hellraiser-y with like the hell stuff.
Yes, I did. I saw that they talked about the puzzle box type feeling of the rooms and
Yes.
like, and it did. I mean, those doors were treacherous. Like, even
So
for like normal doors, like, ah.
absolutely, yeah. Apparently, like when they tried to like set up the cameras a certain way for like the rooms that like spun,
Mhm.
and the cameras just were not really having it, so they had to like reset up the cameras in a way like so that they were more stationary, and they
Mhm.
still kind of like were having issues with them. Um, but yeah, so wild. All right, so we found the ship. We get to the ship. And they send in Justin, like the baby little guy, and a couple like another person goes with him. Things get crazy. They end up breaking their own ship and having to basically board the Event Horizon. Like the Event Horizon gives them no choice. Like you have to be here
When
and stuff.
Dr. Weir yelled out, that isn't a load bearing something," I was
Yeah.
like, oh
I know.
no.
It's just like
Oh no.
immediate, just like
Yeah.
shit.
It is. It does. It's a movie that jumps in very quickly, and it
Hmm.
was shorter than I would have imagined. When I saw the running time, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like, it's a really great like popcorn flick to throw on because it's not super long and you get action pretty quickly." Like, I
Yeah.
like it.
They don't no holds barred, just like
Hmm.
straight in. Just absolutely wild. The so I guess with that, like when you were talking about the runtime, I guess I could just like really quick give like the background of like the production. So Paul W.S. Anderson, who is known probably most notably for like the Resident Evil movies.
Resident Evil and the
Yeah.
original Mortal Kombat,
And
which
yes, so
I
exactly
know
that's
it's
how we
like
got
so
this
bad, but
movie.
I have good memories of it. So yeah.
It it was like a commercial success, like the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
He was like a baby director. He did like what he did Jude Law's like first main movie. He
Oh,
got
I didn't
Mortal
know that.
Kombat. Yeah,
Wow.
it's called Shopping.
Oh.
Then he got Mortal Kombat, and it was a commercial success. So Paramount was like, we're going to give you another movie, and you've got your pick. You can do X-Men. You can do with, did I write down the other one? I don't think I cared as much about the other one. Oh, Mortal Kombat 2, the Annihilation. He
Oh
could do
yeah.
that one. And he was like, I don't want to do a PG-13 movie. I want to do an R-rated movie. And so he got like this script, and the script, the elevator pitch for the script was that it is a haunted house movie in space, and it played out more like Alien. Like there was like an alien on board. There were tentacles and shit. Like, and he was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and he was like, I'm gonna change this. And he kind of made it more of like a psychological thriller because he didn't want it to be
I
like
mean, that would have been
Alien.
so derivative. Like, it would have just
Yeah.
ended up in the bottom of the barrel as like, oh, they just kind of redid Alien for us. now in the 90s.
Exactly. And that's what he didn't want. So, at the same time, James Cameron was making Titanic. And so Titanic was running over budget and it was like
Was it?
behind
Oh
schedule.
my goodness.
Yeah, I know. Surprise. Surprise, surprise. James Cameron running behind schedule.
Cameron running overtime and budget?
Right? Who'd have guessed? Oh, anyways. So yeah, so they was supposed to come out in July of 97 and it needed to be pushed till December, which is kind of like huge. So Paramount was like, well, we need somebody else here to take our July spot and make us money.
Blockbuster spot.
Yeah. And they were like, okay, Paul, you have 10 months to make this movie.
10 months?
10 months.
Only had 10 months.
10 months. He had 4 weeks to do editing.
Oh my
He was
God.
editing while they were filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor man probably did not get a wink of sleep for. Oh my God. I say poor man. If he's canceled, I don't know, and I don't know that much about him, so please take it with a grain of salt that I said poor man. If you're like, no, he deserved it, then sure, he did. He did.
As far as I know, I think he's okay.
Okay, I never know.
Yeah. I know. Me either. I was like, so like, it was one of those things that it's like, I'm so glad we got this movie, but I'm also like really mad that he didn't do X-Men because I just hate Bryan Singer so much.
Yeah.
I know his X-Men would have been so cool.
Gnarly.
So gnarly. Absolutely wild. So wild. But yeah, so he got 10 months to make this movie. He was obviously major time constraints, and he was using kind of like a little skeleton crew on the weekends to film the hell scenes.
Oh.
And he was using like people, like stunt people and visual effects people, and I believe a few adult actors as well to make like the fornication scenes look a little bit more fornicaty. And the people at Paramount had no idea that he was really doing that on the weekends because they were like hanging out during the week. And so when he presented like the first cut of the movie, which was actually 2 hours and 10 minutes long, it had more plot.
Wow.
It also had longer hell scenes. And
I did read about one of the things that was cut from the hell scene, and I can see why.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I can see why a few things were cut. I mean, yeah, like I saw that they were like, it was going to get an NC-17 rating, and I was like, so I looked up a few. I was like, I don't want to look up too much, but like, what was cut? And like, oh, okay, Paul, I can see that a little bit, you know.
It's very wild. So yeah, like he presented his first cut of the movie, and apparently like people were like fainting, they were freaking out, they were so upset, and they were like, you have to cut this. And he like kind of panicked, and when he did like the final cut, he took the hatchet to it, basically. Just like was just like, just get this done and stuff. Like he changed like a couple, like he did a third screening before changing like a couple other things as well. And yeah, so that's how we got the final product. During the production, there was also like some issues with the spacesuits. The spacesuits were like 65 pounds each.
65?
Yeah, so like the actors had to wear like these 65-pound suits, and they couldn't sit in them because of the way that like it was set up. And if they stood in them too long, it would cause like back issues. So they had to like create these rigs to like pick them up. So they're like picking up.
So funny. Just forklifting the actors around.
Exactly. It's
65. That's
65.
I was like expecting you to be like 20 or something, and I'd been like, oh, that's crazy. That is a lot. But 65?
Like their whole,
Oh,
rough. So rough. Also, the actress oh my gosh, why can't I remember her name? Joel Richardson?
Jolie Richardson.
Jolie Richardson, thank you. She's from Nip Tuck. Fucking love her. She was actually Liam Neeson's sister-in-law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Natasha's sister. She's from the Redgrave family. I love the Redgrave family,
me
so
too.
I just happen to know a lot about her.
So good. I love her so much. Yeah, like so she and Sam Neill were doing like a scene, and like so they're supposed to be sitting at like the computer, and there's like an explosion and stuff, and like they're supposed to react to it. And she said that like every single time there was like the explosion, she and Sam both would wake up on the floor and had no idea what had happened. They'd like like
What?
it's not like it was like like as far as I know, it wasn't like unsafe working conditions. It was just like really like weird reaction to what was happening. Like she said that happened like multiple times, like every time they did a take for it. It's
I mean,
so good.
I would be running to get scanned in every
Right?
way because, like, clearly something knocked out my brain several times today. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Um so I guess if we get back into where they are on the ship as well. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around. That's how my
okay,
brain
I am
works.
like, I am such a tangent person. So if I get off tangent, if I get like on a weird thing, kick me back over.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm also a tangent person. I'm just like, oh wait, okay, what about over here? Like, let's go look at this thing.
I mean, I almost started going into how Jolie's sister was like on the Parent Trap, and I was like, no, reel it in.
That's
You can't go that far.
right. That was Liam Neeson's wife, right?
Yes.
Yes. She was the nice mom on the on the Lindsay Lohan one. Yes. Right. That's right. So fancy. I loved that movie.
Right?
So good.
So cute. Oh my god.
So cute. Okay. All right. So they make it to the ship. They are trapped on the ship. And they end up like finding a video clip of like one of the last things that happened before, like while they were missing, like while the crew was missing, because the entire crew is vanished. There was like 18 people on the crew. Ship's empty. There's like viscera on like panels. There's a few dead people floating. I know there's just meat.
And then I loved the addition of, it wasn't like the CGI doesn't hold up super well, but I loved their stuff floating around, like the watch and the wedding ring you see, like
yes,
kind of coming across the screen. In fact, I wanted to ask you, you might be getting this, was this meant to be in 3D at any point? Because there was so much like stuff in your face and floating at you, and I was like, I wonder if that was a question, because it felt like, you know, when they make 3D movies into just regular so you can watch it at home.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like some of those scenes looked like.
You're right, it did. I don't believe so, because I don't think that 3D was like a big deal in 97.
Yeah, it was pretty out of vote. It's like it was popular in like the 60s, and then it like went away, and then it came back in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense that it wasn't, but it just looked like it was crazy.
Agreed. It was really like I know that they used like a smaller company for like the graphics and stuff like that. Like so maybe like that's kind of like their like calling card, is to like make things look a little like they're like, oh, we want to really pull you in or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe. But apparently, so there's like a cut scene of them, and Lawrence Fishburne's character is like finds like a tooth that has been like ripped out with like gum still attached to it and stuff, and like they like bags it up. Yeah.
I would have loved to see that.
Oh, I sent you the video. It's in that video.
In that okay.
Yes. Yeah. So when so Scream Factory, who does like a bunch of like they will re-release like cult classic horror movies and all kinds of movies, and usually they'll try to like find like special things to make like their version of it like even more of like a pop kind of thing. Like they'll do like specialty covers, they'll find like like secret scenes and stuff like that, like deleted scenes that people haven't heard of and all kinds of stuff. And they wanted to try and find as many deleted scenes from this movie as possible. Like they literally scoured the world trying to find deleted scenes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like they couldn't find really anything. When the movie was like, so the movie was released in July of 1997 and it was not a success. I think it made back like 2/3 of what it cost.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really rough. It's really rough. It was not a critical success either. Like critics, it wasn't a critic darling either. Like it just unfortunately just kind of like fucked like everything up for Paramount until of course, you know, James Cameron released his little movie.
Well, yeah, that one did pretty well, I think.
Pretty well. It's a little historical. But yeah, so he released it, and then so like it came out to VHS, of course, it came out to DVD, and DVD sales and DVD rentals for it were just like wild. Like Paramount was like kind of in shock about it. And yeah, like they were just absolutely like, okay, all right. So they went back to Paul and they were like, hey, did you want to like redo, like, did you want to do like a director's cut of this and we can re-release it and maybe make some more money and stuff? And Paul was like, yeah, sure, like let's do this. So he tried to like find like any of the deleted scenes and everything so he could piece back together like his original cut, and couldn't find any. Like he found barely anything. He found like the 2 or 3 scenes that I included, like sent to you. There's like one scene where Weir is like crawling down like a like ladder when the blood comes rushing. He's like crawling down a ladder, kind of like Exorcist style. It's terrifying. Like it's such a good scene. I like watched it a couple times today because I'm like, oh, it's so good. And like the tooth scene and stuff, but like they really couldn't find anything. They found some stuff like in a Transylvanian salt mine. The most wild, weird shit. Most of the stuff though, like hadn't been stored properly or had just been like trashed entirely. So, like there was really nothing. I think that there's like some stuff that like is on a VHS, but the quality is not good. There's no way to really restore it and stuff. So yeah, so unfortunately, like a director's cut is not really possible.
Dracula crossover.
Dracula crossover, yes. So yeah,
but yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Film clearly always looks better. I mean, anyone who's a film nerd knows that it just always looks better and it ages better. But it's got that's what's scary, is it can just like, I mean, I think Martin Scorsese recently said something about how only like 10% of movies are like survive from pre like 1950s.
Yeah.
And people were making movies left and right, but I mean, I'm really into like older stars and things, and I'll look up some of the movies they were in like, you know, the very early 1900s that were just little shorts, and it'll like IMDb will say like, but there's no like this doesn't exist. Like we know what it was called, we know this person did it because this person probably talked about it later in life and had it on a resume, but it doesn't exist. Like, and so that's what's so scary about film, is like that can happen.
Like it's like yeah, like there's just like so many things, like the old films and stuff. That was the one thing like that I like super learned from like Inglourious Bastards, is how like fragile and stuff film itself was.
Yeah, like you said, if it wasn't stored properly, I mean, temperature could ruin it. Yeah, you know,
it's it's so sad because like we've lost so much
Mm-hmm.
because of that and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're
There's like
right.
a famous one from back in like the 30s, I want to say, and it had cameos from all the big movie stars of the time. Like these people who, are legends, and literally they all cameoed in it because it was a movie about like the protagonist like goes to Hollywood, I believe. And it was like this at the time it was a big like, deal. It was they promoted it like crazy because it was like you get to see all your favorite stars in one place. And this was at a time when, movies didn't come out as frequently. Movie theaters only had one screen, and people generally could only afford to go to maybe one movie a year, if not, maybe every few months. So it was like this was a way for you to see all of your favorite stars at once, like being on the conversation. That film is gone. It's gone. Like no one, like it was destroyed. There's like no record of like where it was even last. Like it's just gone. And it was like this time capsule of stars, and talent and everything. And reading stuff like that is so terrible. And then like for this, like he had a whole like I wish I could see the rest of
I
this
know.
movie. Like the way
I
he really wanted to
know.
see it. Like,
Oh. Apparently, there's a TV show in the works. Apparently, there's a TV show in the
Okay.
works. It's one of those things that like I'm like, that could be good,
It could be, yeah.
but
It's like depends on who is going to have it, like where it's
sure.
going to be streaming, or you know,
Yes,
yeah.
agreed. Like yeah, like it's just like it's so tricky because like TV, I love TV, but like
Mhm.
it with certain things like it needs to be handled right, or it just
Mhm.
kind of like turns into like a mess.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Oh, Amazon? Allegedly. Okay.
Oh,
That's right,
Amazon.
Amazon. Which
Okay.
is kind of like, could be bad, could be good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
rough. Oh.
You never know with Amazon. They've had some good stuff. They have the
Yeah,
budget, at least.
that's
I
true.
mean, you do have the budget.
That's true. I'm trying to think of like a good Amazon TV show though.
I have to say I loved Wheel of Time, and I know a lot of people really didn't, but I didn't
Oh.
read the books, so I
Hmm.
had no like I have nothing to compare it to be like it wasn't the same as the books, but I liked Wheel of Time, and that was pretty like fantastical and things, so I feel like but yeah, you're right. They've had a lot of misses, and they have really grandeur ideas at Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was that one with oh my god, from what is his name? It was there and then it was gone. He's Legolas. Orlando Bloom.
Oh, Orlando Bloom, right? The fairy one.
Yes, the fairy one. And it
What was it?
looked like it had a lot of potential, but then it just I didn't, you know what, to be honest, I haven't even watched it, so I can't say if it's good
That's
or
true.
bad, but I know it like exploded. It just like or not exploded, it fizzled out really quick.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. It really did. What was that called?
Yeah.
Oh, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, that's
That
one.
was a good one. Yes.
Hmm.
For some reason, I don't know why I put that in the same package as like Fleabag. So I was like, oh, Netflix. No, wait, was Fleabag on Netflix or Amazon?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Because
Okay,
it was
Fleabag's good.
originally, I think they bought it from BBC, or not, maybe not BBC, but they bought it from someone else. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
originally even Amazon, but yeah, it's like Netflix when they have movies that they say are Amazon originals or shows, and it's like, no, that was actually like a British show or movie, but like they slapped their original logo on it. I think that's what Amazon did with Fleabag. I think.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
Fleabag was really good. I did like Fleabag.
So good.
Oh, but yeah, I was trying to like think like, okay, if they make this into a TV show, like where would I want it? And I would want like people similar to like the Archive 81 people handling it, but I wanted it Shudder.
Yeah. Archive 81 was so good. I was very, very upset when when they announced it was canceled. But you're
I still need
absolutely
to
right.
finish it. It's one of those things that like I was liking it so much, but then I'm like, I don't want it to end.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of put it off.
But yeah, the effects they use on that show, and like I don't know, just like the cinematography and things, I think
Hmm.
would lend whoever does it, like obviously not the same. It would have to be a little bit different because of
Yeah,
space, but I can see like that would be a great match, that whole crew.
exactly.
And they're free
The
now. They're
cosmic
all
horror. Exactly. It's like that cosmic horror thing. Because that's the other thing, too,
Yes.
is that I didn't really consider that, like, Event Horizon is a cosmic horror movie. Like
Yeah,
technically, like it's got
it is.
the Lovecraftian kind of stuff without like too much of like the tentacle monsters, but like there's a lot of stuff with it that's like these like huge scary things that you can't really like see, because I know that's like the Lovecraft thing too, is
Mhm.
that like there's like these undescribable
Indescribable.
horrors.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like it really is heavy in that. So that's why I went with Archive 81, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
Oh yeah. I mean, the fact that they were hallucinating, like the first time the one crew woman, she sees her son, like I think I mentioned it earlier. To me,
Yes,
that part was, like I said, it was just so visceral. I mean, the effects they did on
his
the boy's
legs.
legs, yeah. And like I liked that they waited all the way up until someone else walked up, like, and she still looked like she could still see it even with someone else there. And like you
Hmm.
could just I love that they were setting up for like, what is this? Is any of this really happening? Like, I even had moments where I was like, is this going to be one of those where they're not even on a spaceship? Like, like, is that going to be the whole
Surprise.
twist? Yeah,
Surprise,
like,
they've
because,
all been like in somebody like a coma patient's mind the whole time.
yeah, that, or like, or even like they wake up at the end from their stasis and it's like, oh, this all just happened like within their brains, you know? The stasis, by the way, I like the way that the stasis was done in this.
Oh, I
I
loved
love
it.
the first time Sam Neill woke up and was like choking on it, and for as an actor it looked like it was miserable, but it was so well done, like the way they had to like get him out and everything. And like I said, this movie just adds like, not just, it's like not just that you're haunted in space, but like there's other stuff going on too, because
It's true.
the seat that Lawrence Fishburne sits in, the captain's like seat, there's like duct tape on it and stuff. And I thought the
Yes.
set design was so genius. Again, like clearly these governments have like told them to be, they have to go, and the ship is clearly like not new. It's not like all of us banded together on Earth and sent these heroes out into space. It is like, here's this like duct taped together ship, and like, so
Hmm.
there's that going on. They're dealing with like just the regular like government not spending enough on what they need to spend on, and then space ghosts or whatever you would call this horror,
Space demons.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. Oh my gosh. Just like so wild. So yeah, so like everybody like starts to see things like they start to see basically their sins. Like they start to see like the things that they are the most, that they carry the most guilt about. So Kathleen Quinlan, the I can't remember her name, and the thing, she sees like her son who she had to leave behind to go on this mission because like there was nobody else for her like to take her spot. So she starts seeing her son who's sick, and he kind of like haunts her on the ship. And then Lawrence Fishburne's character, he sees one of his crewmates who he let die, like let
That was,
like like
oh,
ugh, burned to death, and he's like been carrying that. And that, I think, his is so his is so good because like as you mentioned like earlier, like with him like apologizing, and him like he takes such good care. He loves every single person on his crew. When the one guy like ejects himself into space, and he's like, this is how I'm gonna save him, and he's talking him through like, okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna blow out all the air out of your lungs, and then you're gonna tuck yourself into a ball, and I'm gonna catch you, and it's going to be okay. And like yes, the dude is in so much pain because like being launched into space, like
yeah.
you're like the special effects on that, so
That part
good.
was so, the actor, the pain, like he really conveyed the pain and the like, I don't know the science behind it, but I liked that it wasn't like once you go to space, you just explode by touching space. Like they
Mm-hmm.
were actually like in space sometimes without like, but they were like the blood flying everywhere. And yeah, the
Yes.
fact that he said like blow the air out of your lungs and I'll catch you. And oh God, it was so like horrifying.
Yes. Yes. Like seriously, like that seems like one of the worst ways to die. And like there are a lot of people that die on this ship in pretty
Yeah.
fucked up ways. But that one was like that one. Okay, wait, all the people in the hellscape, that's pretty bad too. Never mind. Um okay, that's worse. And then this. But anyways, yeah, like so he like that character, I'm so bad with names. Oh my
I
gosh.
know. I just watched it and I can't remember the character names.
I know he's
Yeah.
so bad. Anyway, so he uh I know that they call him like Baby Bear and stuff.
Mm.
Anyways, he was the first person to kind of get fucked up on the ship. Like the shit, like he kind of went into like a bit of like a coma thing. He was in the infirmary for a while, and then they end up finding him like in a block. And he's set to eject himself into space. And it's kind of an interesting thing because when he's talking to them, he's kind of like, it's not what it's not what I would figure the ship would do, because the ship seems like it wants to take as many souls with it as possible and fuck up everybody's life, because that's like what it needs is like souls and pain and suffering. And so I thought it was really interesting that he kind of was like not himself, and he was talking about like, oh, did you hear it? When he's talking to like the mom, like the
Oh
mother,
yeah.
and he's like, did you hear it? And she's like, yes, I heard it. And he's like talking to her, and he's like telling her like how terrified he is, but he's doing it in like this very stoic voice, and is like saying that like, oh, like there's like some fucked up shit that you're gonna see. And he had said that he didn't want to see it anymore, like the ship's gonna
Mhm.
show you things, and he didn't want to be there anymore. So it was kind of interesting that he wanted to shoot himself out into space. And then
Yeah.
like and then he snaps out of it, and he realizes, he's like, wait, what am I doing in here? Like, let me back in, and they can't. And that's when Lawrence Fishburne has to save him and stuff. Like I kind of wanted to know about like the why. Was it him just trying to like, I don't know. That's the one thing. That was like my one kind of like, I want more explanation on this one.
Yeah, that one did it's like it went wild really fast and it's like clearly he was like alluding to this is a fate worse than death. So I would rather die. I'd rather shoot myself into space than deal with this because this
Mhm.
is going it almost like it seemed like he was again alluding to like this is going to go on past us dying horribly, you know? And then for him to be like, no, let me back in, it was like a wait, was he possessed? Like, was he talking like did he hear from one of the old crew members? I don't know. It almost seemed like he had information that the rest of us didn't have,
Mhm.
including the people in the movie. And it was such a great scene, but
It was a good
I
scene.
yeah, it was one of those that you like you said, I wonder if he had a little more explanation in the extended cut.
Mhm.
It just seemed like there would be. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And like that was the other thing too, is that I wonder if like in the extended cut, if we got the other people's like sins and what they
Yes.
were seeing and what they were haunted by. Like, because it was just like the main three. It was the mom,
Mhm.
it was Lawrence Fishburne, and it was Dr. Weir seeing his
Mhm.
wife. And that's kind of like it on like seeing of the sins. So yeah, so we mentioned like what Lawrence Fishburne's was. Dr. Weir, you and I thought that like his wife had been on the event horizon, and then when it vanished. But we end up finding out like in the movie that like he wasn't there when she committed suicide. And he's haunted by that. Like he
Mhm.
sees visions of it. It's really devastating. He sees visions of her like haunting him on the ship basically and stuff,
Mhm.
and kind of like making promises to him.
Yeah, the scene where she like holds him to like her bosom basically, and it's like she was the ship almost goes between like I'm reassuring you that you're going to be forgiven for these things even though you that's not what's happening. I just want to eat you and your pain. And like showing you like making you afraid and guilty.
Hmm.
Like it's like it was going between those. It was interesting because it seemed like whatever was in the ship was intelligent enough to like play like a cat and mouse game almost with them, you
It's
know?
tr- it's true. I did also want to say about that scene. Because you mentioned that it was kind of almost like disturbing, like because she's not fully nude in it. She
Mhm.
is in like her underwear and stuff. And I was gonna
Mhm.
say that like that scene, even though she is like topless and stuff, like I thought that like the cinematography of it, I didn't really get like male gazy with it.
No, not
Even
at
like when he like
all.
rests his chest, like when it's like full on nipple.
Mhm.
Like there, it's not there's not anything that's like gratuitous or kind of like sexualized
Mm-mm.
about it. It's very much like devastating, like this is a man and his wife, and like we're having to like watch this
Yes.
really heartbreaking thing. Like I
Yeah,
really
I
did
I
like
got
that.
that too. I did. I felt like the absence of, like you said, the male gaze, like any sort of sexual. It was just like these two people who it felt just like it was conveying a familiarity. Like these are two married people who him seeing her nude wouldn't be like necessarily be like just sexy time all the time, you know? These are two people who like lived together and saw each other in this way, and this was just like how she was clearly when she died, or at least that's what I think that they were saying. And it, yeah, even with the close, because they do a close up, but it didn't feel like sexual at all. It felt almost motherly in a
Y-
way, the way she like held him and stuff.
yes,
I don't
like
know.
how like you're like you kind of like have a like it's kind of like a weird like maternal like thing, like even with like even with like people, like it's not like an Oedipal thing when we say like maternal with that, but
No, yeah, it's not, because even Oedipal would suggest like sexual, and this was like
exactly.
completely absent of
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, it was. I really did like that scene. Like, I thought that it was really good. I
Yeah.
love Sam. I love Sam Neill so much. He's like one of my
Same.
absolute favorite horror actors and stuff. Like, I just like I.
Yeah, I loved that he got to use his accent in this. He like always
That's
was always having to be
true.
British or whatever he was in Jurassic Park.
That's right. And then in in the Mouth of Madness, I think that he's American
Hmm.
and stuff, which is also
Yeah.
like another really good cosmic horror movie for those who have not seen it. So
Yeah, that
good.
one comes up when you Google this one a lot. Like,
Yes.
if you like this, you'll like this. Yeah.
So good. I just love him. And then also Possession. I think that he was British in Possession, which
Yeah.
is yeah, so good. That and more cosmic horror. Dude really likes cosmic horror.
Yeah, I appreciate that about him. I love that. I love that he takes these like really wild roles in
Me
these,
too.
like these scripts are, like I said, they're just so, you know, I mean, I can't imagine reading Event Horizon in script form for the first time. Like, I'd love to read the scripts to see like what people saw and were like, yes, I want to sign up for this, you know?
Yeah. Apparently like Jeremy Irons was like tied to this. And there was a couple other people too that I was just like, wait, that would have been so weird. I think Bruce Willis was up for Lawrence Fishburne's like role.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it would have worked.
No.
Lawrence is
Lawrence
just
Fishburne
like
has a something sympathetic about him that I
so
believed every time he like apologized and felt guilty and things.
he's got that dad vibe.
Yeah.
Like he's very much like stern, but he's
Mhm.
also like he does like care a lot
Mhm.
and stuff. Like
Mhm.
he likes to get shit done, but he also like wants you to feel like good as well
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff. Like oh, him in Hannibal too, even though he's kind of more of like a fuck in Hannibal, but he's so good in
So
that.
good.
So good. Oh, love it. Yeah, the cast, I just love this. cast so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like I guess with the fact that like we do just see like those three people's like their sins and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is, yes, realistic sincerity is absolutely, that's spot on for Lawrence Fishburne. Um so like I was wondering if maybe it's because like those three are the ones that had the most, and maybe that's why like they only focused on those three.
Yeah, maybe that's what it's because it was the fact that they didn't show the others. I wasn't sure if it's trying to tell us like the others don't have anything like this that they regret this much or feel this way about, or if it was trying to say like we're just not seeing theirs or what, like
Mm-hmm.
were they seeing stuff that we weren't seeing or were they good, quote unquote, the
Yeah.
horror movie moral people,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like interesting, or maybe that stuff's on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, I guess in the Transylvanian salt mines, I guess more
Yeah.
like it. um, but yeah, so um the baby bear, he has been saved. He got moved to stasis where he is trying to like recover, and they kind of like have him frozen just so that he does not die or hurt himself any further. And like things, like they end up like finding the clip that I mentioned earlier where it just shows just absolute terrifying fuckery. Like this, it's 15 seconds of just like absolute hell. Like it's a clip of the original crew just basically like tearing each other to shreds. Well, also like it's so animalistic, and like there's like like they're having sex, they're killing, they're like self-mutilating. It's really short, but
Yeah.
it's still very like I feel like the shortness makes it more like impactful.
I agree. I agree. I don't
Like
think I know that I saw that he had a longer version of it that was way more visceral in ways. And I think that it would have taken away from how shocking it was because we didn't see it for that long, you
mhm.
know?
Agreed. It's kind of like in Annihilation, like when you kind of like see like those movie clips with like Oscar Isaac's team. If you've seen that, have you seen
Mm,
Annihilation?
mm-mm.
Oh, okay. It's really good. Like the I didn't like the ending, but everything else I've really liked. I highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, like it's just so you get like those like very small clips, and BJ who or DJ, I don't know why I keep calling him BJ. DJ, he speaks Latin, and
Oh,
he's
that's
played by
right.
Jason Isaacs, who most people would recognize as Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies.
Mm,
He like speaks Latin, and he's like, "Oh, I recognize that. That means help me and stuff." Like that's what that means. And later on, he's like, "Oh, just kidding. Like I mistranslated. It actually means save yourself."
yeah.
And stuff. So it's just like very like, oh shit, like there's something happening here. The ship has like this center section where the like fake black hole that like Sam Weir has created is down there, and it's like the most eerie room ever. Like like it looks like the puzzle box if the puzzle box was
It
round.
does. It does.
Yeah. And it's just like it's such a beautifully built room, but it's also so eerie and terrifying. And the crew like decides that they need to get like the fuck out because they need to get like help for baby bear. They need to get like they need to save themselves from
Yeah.
like everything that's happening. And the mother, Kathleen Quinlan, she sees like her kid again as they're like collecting all the air things so that they can get home safely. And she sees like her kid and is basically tricked into like falling and dying. and stuff.
Hers was good. It's like that falling and onto that metal grate was it was I mean, and hitting all the things on the way down and everything. Like it looked very realistic, first of
It
all. Like
did.
it was they didn't go with like cartoony with it. It looked like
No,
this woman just like hit all that stuff and then fell onto this grate and then like the amount of blood was actually it felt realistic, which
it
made it
did.
grosser, you know? It wasn't too much. It was like, oh no, this woman just got like torn up by this shit.
So rough. And then one thing that I noticed was the doorway that she walks through is coffin shaped,
Oh.
which I thought was kind of like interesting and I hadn't noticed before. And I was like, wait a
Mhm.
second, like that looks like a coffin. Like I was like, uh-oh. Oh
Yeah, I
girl,
didn't notice
you're in
that. That is
danger.
interesting. Wow. They're like, we're
Yeah,
telling you what's gonna happen.
exactly. um and then like there's like everything just like the shit completely just like hits the fan and stuff. Like when that like happens and stuff, like
Mhm.
everything just kind of like starts happening. There's like an explosion. um Weir, they find out, has like torn out his own eyes,
Yes.
and he like shows Lawrence Fishburne like another glimpse of hell, but instead of like the original crew, like it's everybody else, like it's Lawrence's crew, like
Mhm.
which I think is kind of like more terrifying, especially because like that is like his biggest fear after
Mhm.
losing that one crewmate, is that he doesn't want any of his crew, like anything bad to happen to them. He wants them to be
Mhm.
safe. Like he does everything in his power to save them and stuff, even like sacrificing himself. And which I like, it's so good when like he sacrifices himself
It
for
is. It
everybody.
is. Mhm.
And and then Weir comes back as like this naked man covered in like sigils, like the like self-mutilated sigils, like. And I noticed that in the director's commentary, um that like uh Paul like calls him, um he calls him the Burning Man and stuff. Like he
Oh.
doesn't call him Weir, which I thought
Huh.
was kind of like interesting. So maybe
Yeah.
like that's kind of like an indicator that maybe that's like the personification of like the hell, and the ship has taken
Mhm.
over Weir entirely and kind of like it is him now instead.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I can see that. Mhm.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it's very much, apparently in the original cut, there's more of like a conversation where like it is more straightforward with the fact that like this ship has literally been to hell. Like during like it's the 7 years it's been gone, it literally went to hell in that like when it first took off and tried to like get to like its other destination, it went to hell. And they kind of made it a little bit more ambiguous with the doer stuff. Like you get that that's what happened, but
Mhm.
it's a little bit less like fire brimstone-y
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff. And which I thought that was really interesting and stuff.
Mhm.
It's kind of apparently like some of like the apparently like the ship is kind of supposed to be set up sort of like Dante's Inferno, like with like the
Oh, the
9 sections of,
levels.
yeah, the 9 levels of
Yeah.
hell and stuff. And I think where the ship is was like the bot, like the base.
Okay.
Eh.
Okay.
I still haven't read
That
Dante's Inferno.
I did God, I was probably like it was probably 10, 15 years ago, I swear.
I like all of my information that I know about Dante's Inferno, I have like gotten from other sources. I'm like, yes, I know about it. I know what that is.
Yeah. It's like we you know enough about it to like comment on like, yes, this does seem like Dante's Inferno, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, so Jolie Richardson and the other crewmate, who is kind of like, he's kind of like he's kind of like the guy that kind of like breaks the tension and stuff. Like he's kind of like he's everybody's friend. He kind of just like wants like he kind of just tries to like keep everybody like happy and getting along and stuff. Like they escape and like when she wakes up from the stasis and they're like, oh, the rescue team's here and stuff, and like the one rescue guy like lifts up his like thing and it's weird, like the naked weird
Yeah.
and stuff, like absolutely terrifying because like the ending is so ambiguous because it's like
It is.
did
It
did
is. I was gonna say, like, was it supposed to be like we don't know if they're gonna we still don't know if they're gonna get out because that's what it seemed like.
yeah, or did they get out but like they brought the hell that was the ship with them?
Oh God, I didn't even think about it that way. That
Or is it just like her trauma, like of
Mhm.
everything that like she had seen and stuff, and like she's just like it's like fucked her up like so much that like she kind of like can't unsee it.
Yeah, because with the rescue crew, and then when he like looks towards the door and the door closes, and then those terrifying, doors that just close
Yes.
super like they're gonna take your arm off. I was like, was this them being like the ship is still alive? Because it seemed like the door wasn't. I don't know the way they like looked towards the door. It seemed like the door did that on its own. You know what I mean?
Like, are they actually still just on the event horizon
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff? And like, do they just make them think that they're not and stuff? Like, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, so scary. I really hope, like, for their sake, I hope that they made it off.
I do too.
But, oh, so good. So, but did you like it?
I did. I really liked it. Like I said, I think this is like a fun one to watch, like with the lights out and everything. And like I said, it gets into the action really quickly. The
Mhm.
gore is really well done. At least I think it is. And I don't know, it's just a really good like cosmic horror. Yeah. I love stuff. I absolutely love horror where you kind of don't know where it's coming, like what exactly it's coming from, like why or where. And I know we kind of like find out about it, but it still doesn't like answer much,
All the questions, yeah.
And the idea of like how hell is in space and, dealing with the, you know, jumping through like time and things to get to different parts of the universe and like bending physics and all that. Like it's terrifying in itself, and then adding like and there's stuff out there that's I'm so glad he didn't use like tentacles and like alien nor like
Same.
typical alien imagery, because I think it made it all the more scary. Like there was no monster we could really see. It wasn't just this like creature, and it was incredibly intelligent and clearly had a grasp on like humankind,
Mm-hmm.
as like how we are and like what bothers us. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great.
Agreed. Yeah, like this is definitely like it's seriously like it's really like one of like my absolute favorite like sci-fi horror movies and stuff. Like I think that like I love the cast and I love how they interacted with each other as well.
Mhm.
I just wish like oh, I wish we had that director's cut. Oh.
Ugh, I know. Yeah.
Like even just for like more of like the crew themselves, like
Yeah, that was the only problem I had with the runtime, and I can see like now I know that it was meant to be different earlier, is like I did feel like we didn't get to know them that well, like most of them. So that's the only complaint I would have.
Exactly. And honestly, like I kept accidentally confusing Jason Isaacs with the other
The
crew
other
guy.
British
Yeah, the
guy,
other
yeah.
I was like, oh, and then I was like, nope, they're two different guys. Like
Yeah, they're two different people. Yeah.
they don't look like they look kind of alike, but like they're I think that like yeah, it needed like just a little bit more characters. They did have good character, like I don't want to say that about like the actors because I think they were all really good, but I just think script wise it needed that a little bit more character development.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like they could have added a few more, I don't know, quirks to make them a little more unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only because I was the same way. I was getting some of the crew confused, and yeah.
Yeah, Agreed. Agreed. And yes, we have learned the lesson of today is that Titanic and James Cameron is to blame for all of our shortcomings. Always. Always, always. Oh, James Cameron. Son of a bitch. Um, so
It's finally getting that new Avatar out. So,
and we're supposed to be getting like 3 more, I think.
yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Oh my god. That's fine. People like them.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
I know. I know. It's so funny. So I used to work in a salon, like I used to do hair. And when the first Avatar came out, I was working in the salon and there was like this old lady that like I worked with and she saw Avatar 20 times in theaters and she would tell me about it every single time. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm going to go see Avatar again tonight." And like 20. Like I know it's 3 hours long. It's insane. It's insane. Like and I've seen movies a lot of times in theaters. Like I'm not gonna lie, I saw Star Wars Episode 7 in theaters like 9 times. So
Oh, wow.
I've seen like I but like Avatar?
Yeah, it's so long. And it was like mandatory 3D, I remember, because that was the
Yes.
whole point. And yeah. Oh, man. That's
It's wild. It's so
oh,
wild.
Avatar.
I really want to know how she's feeling about the next one.
Right? Yeah,
Is
I
she
mean,
gonna
I
one up
I remember
herself?
liking the first one, but honestly, I don't know how they're gonna fill that many movies. Like, the world is cool to look at, but the plot was like, I mean, we all said it at the time, it was
Fern Gully.
Ferngully, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Except it didn't have Hexus.
Yeah.
Didn't have that. Nobody was sexy enough to be Hexus. Have you seen Pocahontas? Same thing. All right. So I wanted to know what were your 3 favorite horror movies?
Oh, okay. I wrote them down because
Yes.
it's so hard to pick
It's
3, but I
hard.
was like, I'm gonna write them down because it's hard to pick them anyway. Okay, so Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. It's a
I
Korean horror
love
movie.
Gonjiam. I tell people about
Have
it
you
all the time.
Okay, I tell people about it too,
So good.
because it's probably one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I mean,
So
it actually scared me. It's so good. I mean, and it's so like it's very modern. It like has to do if you haven't seen it, it's like I know you have, but like it has to do with like YouTube streamers and sensationalism and like faking things for views, but like also this very scary backstory. I mean, the the asylum itself, once they get in, that's one that like it could have just been a traditional like ghost jump scare thing, but it gets so psychological that
does.
I'm not expecting that, like for it to actually get in your head about like what's happening. I don't even want to give anything away if
No.
anyone hasn't seen it, because that is it's such a scary movie. It's so good.
It's so good.
Um,
I was gonna say too, it kind of Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. But it also reminded me of Grave. Oh my
uh,
gosh.
uh, oh, Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters,
Yes.
except like better. I love Grave Encounters, but like
Mhm.
Gonjiam is better.
Yeah, both very, very good. And like, yeah, a little bit of the same concept too. But yeah, I think Gonjiam is just both of them were pretty scary, but Gonjiam is like I said, it starts to get a little like psychological, and it was I don't know, that it was really scary.
I was typing
My
down
second
your
one
I was typing them
my
down so that I could hit enter and
oh yeah.
post them in the chat.
Yeah, because that's a really, really good one. My second one, this is like such an obvious one, and it's like one that people don't say is their favorite anymore. I think because it was like kind of the concept was overplayed, but I still find the idea, and I still remember what it was like seeing it for the first time, and that's Paranormal Activity. It was, I mean, when it first came out, like I remember people were having to like leave the theater because it was so scary. I remember Steven Spielberg talking about how he screened it in his home theater, and every time like nighttime would come around, he would just like freak out. Like you said, it like made him so nervous. I think he's the reason that got distributed so well was because of him, because the budget was so low.
So
But
I
yeah,
think it was like $10,000, I think.
something crazy like that. Yeah, something very, very low. And then like, yeah, a few people luckily got it screened for them and were like, we need to distribute this because it was. And again, I know it's such a weird one to say these days because I think people forget how novel it was at the time,
It
since that
was.
concept has been done so many times. But yeah, it's still one of my favorites. I still think it was so. It had a subtlety to it that none of even its own sequels have had since.
Hmm.
And other found footage hasn't necessarily been able to grasp that. Like, I think it reignited like from when Blair Witch came out and
Yes,
people
I
were
was
like,
gonna
is
say
this
that.
real? Yeah, it had that same feeling. It like a lot of people felt that again, like, was this a real house, like,
Hmm.
because it was done so well. And like I said, the subtlety of this of, like, the horror was so good. Again, like, this is a theme. I love stuff where you like don't necessarily see the monster, like
Yes.
just standing there. But and also, so my third one is the original House on Haunted Hill from 1959.
Ooh, I still need to see that one.
So good. Clearly, like, older movies, it's a little hard to be as scary as like some of our
Oh,
newer stuff, but
yeah.
like it was done by William Castle, who is just, I mean, William Castle was a genius. Like, I don't know, a lot of people probably kind of know about this, but like he was the one who really sensationalized horror movies in theaters. Like when you went to see House on Haunted Hill originally, like a skeleton would come out of the rafters and fly across the theater, like an actual skeleton on a string
That's
would like
so
fly at the
sick.
audience. And he was the one who like he started the whole kind of, we know that it's like fake now, but like they still will use this idea of like people were fainting in the theaters. He had nurses stationed in the lobbies of the theaters, so when you would go, you'd see these nurses who were there just in case you couldn't handle how scary it was. And so that alone is incredible. And then the movie, like, again, it's like one of those that the concept's overdone now, but at the time, I mean, telling, these people, if you stay here for $10,000
Oh,
overnight, you get
wait.
the money. And
Yes, I
I
have
mean,
seen this one and I'm obsessed with it. Yes,
yeah.
I was thinking of The Haunting of Hill House. I was thinking
Mm.
of like that other, like the Shirley Jackson
Oh
adaptation.
yeah.
But no,
Mm.
I love House on Haunted Hill. Like I just
Mm.
the part where like the lady comes out like and like kind of just like skates
Yes.
by.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
So
good.
good. So good. And I think it's one too where you watch it and even kind of like, I don't know, even knowing what happens and things. I remember the first time I saw it because I saw the newer one first when I was younger, but like
With
when I
Jeffrey
watched
Rush.
yes, with Jeffrey Rush. And when I saw the older one, I was actually surprised that like the brutality in it, like the way people die and things, and like
When the
I don't know,
skeleton
I think
throws her in.
yes. Oh
Oh,
my god. Like, I think I just had this idea sometimes of like older movies being a little more like, I don't know, less gruesome. So when people do die, you're just like, oh my god, it's such a shock.
hmm.
And plus, just the effects were fun. They were, early horror effects, early ghost effects, and they were a lot of fun.
Oh, so fun. Oh my gosh. I love those ones. I actually just started rewatching. They did like a colorized version of it.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I watched it last year, I think, for like
Mm.
my like cuz every Halloween I try to watch as many horror movies as possible and stuff. And I included that one in there cuz I was like, "Oh, I want to watch like the colorized one. Like I just want to see. It's better in black and white."
Really?
But
Yeah.
it's still kind of cool to like
Oh,
see
yeah.
them
The
do.
art of colorization is pretty neat. Like, it's one of
Yes.
those things I still like don't know how they do it. I mean, nowadays, digitally, not that it's like easy, but like I can understand that. But some of the old times when they would colorize things, it's like, like the idea of going in and actually like physically coloring film is so impressive. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes, like mind-boggling, like the talent and stuff to like make it look really nice like that. So, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So good. Oh, I love it. Those are really good picks. I really, really
Thank
like
you.
those. Oh, I have been trying really hard to like get like I Japanese horror is really easy to find. But I've seen it, but I've been finding that Korean horror is like a little bit difficult. Like
It is.
Korean cinema is pretty easy, but like horror stuff, a little bit tricky.
Yeah, well, like Gonjiam, I've recommended it to a few people, and like I had a friend on Twitter. He's in the UK, and he was like, "It's not streaming anywhere here," and I was like, "That's so sad because you would like it so much." But yeah, like I know in the UK, or at least as of a few weeks ago in the UK, like you couldn't even find it streaming anywhere, even to rent or buy. And so yeah, Korean horror is a little bit more difficult to get your hands on. But if you can find that movie,
I believe it's on
I mean,
Shudder.
I found it on, I think it was on Amazon when I saw it, but yeah, I think it might have moved to Shudder. And especially, that's another thing. International films, they move around to like the streaming apps because their distribution rights change around so much. So yeah, if you can track it down though, it's so good.
Highly recommend. Oh, apparently it's on YouTube as well.
Oh, good.
That's awesome. YouTube will sometimes like have like surprisingly good stuff, like just hidden. Like you have to like dig through like all the weird like Christian and Mormon shows and like really bad like really like D-list movies and stuff like that, but like there's some good stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I found a lot of really good old horror movies on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Especially like on my show, whenever I have a story that talks about like a TV is playing in a room or like there's a TV on, I clearly have to like really be careful with copyright and everything when playing any sort of like TV. So I tend to try to find horror movies that are old and are like basically in the public domain now, and I'll get clips of those and play them in the background of a scene on my show where it's like a TV is on, and
that's
doing that, I've discovered a lot of really cool old horror movies that I never heard of before.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, you could like curate that list too. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. That's so brilliant too. Like I wouldn't even like have thought of like movies being in public domain and stuff, because like I know about like characters and stuff. Like Winnie the Pooh is technically public domain right now, but not like the Disney one, the naked Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, naked Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, I have people ask me that a lot for the show. Like I just had someone write to me recently and asked me to read a Shirley Jackson story, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I can't, because Shirley Jackson is not in public domain yet, and I just legally I cannot do that. And I don't have the funds, probably. I didn't look into it, but I probably don't have the funds to rent the ability to read a Shirley Jackson novel.
Oh no, so, especially since like they just made the Elizabeth Moss movie too. Like it's extra. She's a major commodity.
Yeah.
Beyond the grave. But oh my gosh. Oh, well, seriously, thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, such a blast. Did you want to tell everybody like where they can find you and your podcast? I do have a little thing here too. Perfect.
Oh yeah, there's my link tree in the chat. But you can find the show. It's available on, I think, all the platforms, all streaming or all podcast platforms. It's Scary to Sleep. If you want to follow the show or me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Scary to Sleep, or my personal one is at Shelby B. Scott. And Instagram is also at Scary to Sleep. I lucked out. Like I said, I really made sure no one had this name. So as soon as I found out no one had the name, I went and got like all the domains things.
That's so smart. That's seriously so smart. That's like the most brilliant thing you could do. Like now, like you're super secure.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's such a good podcast. Like it's seriously so good. It's good to like fall asleep to. It's good just like if you want like to like listen to really good short scary stories and stuff. So
thank you. Yeah, and I have a new episode coming out tonight, right
after. Oh, awesome.
So yeah, and it's a really great story. It's one from the No Sleep subreddit. The author sent it to me, and I'm so excited that they gave me permission to read this story because it's very good. I've been working on it. Actually, I've been editing it all week. It's taken me quite a long time to edit, but it's got a lot of good stuff in it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Perfect. All right. I hope you have a good night.
You too. Thank you again for having me.
Heck yes. Yeah, anytime. Seriously. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it
this
so
was so
much.
much fun. This is my first like live stream, I believe, that I didn't I've done live streams where I've pre-recorded a section for them and then I just lurk in the chat while I watch, but this is the first time I've been like live.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
so
I
thank
this
you.
is yeah. And this is like technically this is my second one cuz I was on my friend EBX Erin. She's like a musician and she like does like these like Friday things where she will like she'll like interview people and stuff. So like yeah, this is my second and so yeah, I'm so
Hey.
glad. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.